This is the way that you have to think if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. Most people think that being a successful entrepreneur means that, oh, I have to have a high business acumen or something like that. But more times than not, in order to be a successful entrepreneur, you first have to adopt the mentality of a successful entrepreneur. So what is a successful entrepreneur? In my opinion, it's not so much just having a bunch of successful businesses, but it's more so about achieving that level of balance in your life where you have the success in your business, but you also have that level of success in your personal life. If you can adopt these 9 tactics, this is going to help you to be successful in the entrepreneurship world. Number 1, you've got to have a vision for tomorrow that exceeds today's circumstance. If you look at any successful entrepreneur, one of the things that you'll notice is it was never a consistent path, right? There was a lot of ups and downs. So there's a couple things that you want to know. Number 1, you want to know exactly where you're going. You want to know exactly what it's going to take you to get there, right? If I want to generate $1 million in annual revenue, what are the steps that it's going to take for me to get there? And at the same time, you also want to prepare for any obstacle that's going to come in your way. If there's one thing that's for sure in entrepreneurship, it's that an obstacle is going to get in your way. So it's about not viewing that obstacle as something that's going to stop you in a problem, but more so a hurdle and a challenge that you're going to be able to step over. So when you go into entrepreneurship already knowing these 3 things, then it's very simple. Then the only question is execution from that point. Number 2, you've got to be willing to take the swings, right? Now, when you wake up and you go to your 9 to 5, there's not so many swings. So much is the same every single day. But in entrepreneurship, there's massive swings. You've got the ups, you've got the down, you've got the future, you've got the past. You've got failure and you've got success. So the question is, how do you react to all of these things? When you're up, are you on a temporary high? Are you going harder than you were before? Or are you settling and are you becoming complacent in the success that you have had previously? And then you've also got to pay attention to the future and the past, right? What are you doing and where are you spending your time focusing? The past is simply to learn from. The future is to work toward. And the present is the action behind it all. So when it comes to failure and success, how is it that you respond to each one, right? When you fail, do you get back up and get back up and get back up and stack those failures on top of each other and use those as a stepping ladder in order to get to that success? Or do you fall on your face and not get back up? When you gain success or you gain an accomplishment, what do you do from that point? A lot of times when we gain that accomplishment, we sit down, we're like, yeah, we made it, we're good, let's chill out for a while. The most successful entrepreneurs, what you'll find is they stack accomplishments. So when their business succeeds in one area, that doesn't mean to sit back. That means, okay, I've succeeded in this area. Now I go a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder. And that's how you compile success over time. Look at someone like Elon Musk. He consistently is building business after business after business. It's a never-ending game. And when you can adopt that relentless mentality toward your goals, nothing can stop you. Number 3, you've got to be willing to do whatever it takes. Because there's one thing that's for sure, it's that you're going to fail, right? Failure is inevitable, but quitting is one of those things that's optional, right? So you got to get creative sometimes. Look at what's in front of you and think to yourself, how can I get around that? Who do I have to hire? What do I have to adopt into my mentality? How can I do just a little bit more? At the end of the day, we're creatures of habits. So you want to look at your habits in your business and ask yourself, are these habits serving me or are these habits holding me back? Another big thing that you want to do is you want to determine early on in your entrepreneurship career, what obstacle is big enough to stop, right? And if the answer is absolutely no obstacle, then you're going to be going in with the proper mindset. A lot of times we think in the beginning, oh, I'm going to be successful. Yeah. And then what happens is a few weeks, a few months, a few years later, an obstacle gets in our face that's so big that we crumble. But when you go into this with the mentality that you're going to be successful come hell or high water, then nothing will be able to stop you. And lastly, you want to make sure that you're looking at the investment of time properly. A lot of times when you're not going out on the weekend, you're going to bed early, you're going to sleep at 9, 10, you're waking up at 5 a.m., you're looking at these things like a sacrifice or like a cost. But you've got to understand that these things that you're doing as an entrepreneur, these aren't a sacrifice, these things aren't a cost. This is an investment into your future. And if you do the things that people are not willing to do today, in the future, you're going to be able to do the things that people are unable to do. So you have 2 choices. You can either play now and pay later, or you can pay now and you can play later. The thing is, it's a lot more fun to play when you got a lot of money and a lot of time on your hand. Number 4, You've got to understand the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Most people, they wake up every single day and they have a fixed mindset. They only believe the things that they've been taught. They only believe the things that they can see in front of their face, and they don't ever level up. They don't ever grow. So what you want to do is you want to understand that the things that you know now are not going to be enough to become the person that you want to be. So a growth mindset is something that's forever evolved. You ever hear those people say, oh, I can't do that. Oh, that's just how I was raised, or I don't know how to do that. It's a simple change. Instead of I don't know how to do that, it's I don't know how to do that yet. I was raised this way, but I'm willing to grow and to develop. So when you focus on having that growth mindset and getting 1% better every single day, what you'll find is that your life will then begin to get 1% better every single day. It's not all going to happen overnight, but if you can consistently focus on getting 1% better every single day, then you will be successful. Ultimately, you have to understand that the same actions get the same result. Different actions get different results. So maybe your parents are wildly successful. Maybe everyone around you is wildly successful. But if you look around in your circle and you look at your parents and you look at your family, you look at those people that you know and they don't have the life that you want, you've got to get creative. You've got to have that growth mindset. And ultimately, although you may love them, you've also got to understand that mindset is going to get that result. So if you want a different result, then you've got to adopt a different mentality. Number 5, you want to master the 3 C's. So what are the 3 C's? Confidence, charisma, and character. Confidence, right? It's about how you present yourself. When you walk into a room, are you walking into the room looking like Eeyore, like, okay? Or are you walking into the room, shoulders back, head high, ready to go, and paying attention to your presence? Confidence is more than just the image that you portray, but a true level of confidence is knowing the outcome. Have you ever lost something have you ever gone into, say, a sports situation and you knew you were supposed to win, but you lost? Devastating, right? Crushed your heart. Business is the exact same thing. When you know that you're going to win in business, when you know that you're going to crush the day, you begin to build an expectation and, more importantly, a standard for yourself. We don't operate on what we want. We fall to our standards. So when you have high expectation and high standards for yourself and you know the outcome, you simply cannot lose. The second C is charisma. A lot of times we think charisma is about being the funniest one in the room and things like that, but charisma is not so much. You don't have to have the best personality. You don't have to be the funniest person in the room. You don't have to be the person that everyone's looking at the dinner table. It's very simple. Charisma just means that you have to focus on the moment, right? So when you're in that room or you're with those people, you have to live in the moment. And most importantly, don't take things too serious. Life's going to happen either way. When you can understand that the journey is the destination, this allows you to live in the moment. And when you live in the moment, that's when you're going to be the best version of yourself. And the third C is character. So you have to ask yourself, what is my character? And the best way that you can judge your character is you want to look at yourself outside of yourself. So if you were a third-party entity and you were looking at yourself, ask yourself these couple of questions. Would you follow you? Is the leadership that you're portraying to your team, to your business, outward, is that a level of leadership that you personally would follow? And if the answer is no, you got some work to do. If the answer is yes, you then want to ask yourself, well, I would follow me, but the question is how far, right? Think of your favorite leader. Why is that person your favorite leader? Because you trust them. You think that what they say is right. They walk their talk. So if that's what you'd like to follow, then you have to do the exact same thing in your business. Ultimately, the goal is to be a successful entrepreneur. 95% of the world employs 5% of the world for a reason, right? So if you want to be in that 5%, you've got to begin operating like the minority. Number 6, learn and enhance your energy profile. So what I mean by this is there's 2 major questions that you have to ask yourself, and this is going to help you tremendously. The first question is what drains you, right? As human beings, we're constantly doing things throughout the day. Some of these things fuel us, some of these things drain us. So question 1 is what drains you, and question 2 is what fuels you, right? For me personally, what drains me would be having a bad diet, lacking organization, things like that. What fuels me is positive interaction, inspiration. So you want to slowly drift away from the things that drain you. And this can be people in your life, this can be negative news, this can be television, this can be sleeping in, this can be going to bed late. You got to understand your energy profile. This is for you, right? Energy is everything, and everything is energy. So one of the most important things in your business, and if you want to be successful in entrepreneurship or anything, it's about how you show up every single day. One of the most important things in life is choice. And one of the most important choices that you have in your life is how do you choose to show up every single day? Now, of course, we all want to show up perfectly, right? We all want to show up raw, and we're ready to go, but that's not the reality of things. But to make it easier to show up at your best every single day, understand what drains you and what fuels you, because then you unlocked it and you understand what it is, what you have to do. Okay, I have to go to sleep a little bit earlier. Okay, I have to eat a little bit of a better diet. Okay, I need to go to the gym 3 to 5 times per week. Okay, I need to do a little bit of cardio. All right, well, if before I walk into my business, I have to call my family, and that makes me super happy, that gets me thrilled, that's what lights my fire. Everybody's a little bit different. When you can learn yourself and understand who you are to your core, that's when you can focus on your business, on your people, on the long-term goals. So understand what drains you, understand what fuels you, cut the drainage, increase the fuel. Number 7, be the solution to every single problem that enters your atmosphere. You got to understand that there is no such thing as a problem. There really is no such thing as even an obstacle. As I said earlier, these are just challenges and these are just hurdles. Where most entrepreneurs make the mistake is they spend 95% of their time focused on the problem and they only spend 5% of their time focused on the solution. That's why they have so many more problems than they do solutions. So you have to flip this on its head. When you can spend 95% of your time on solutions and only 5% of your time understanding what the problem is, then 95% of the time you're having solutions and only 5% of the time is problem. The reason why we focus on the problems is because as human beings, we are inherently negative. Look at the highway. When there is a crash on the highway, something negative, we want to pay attention to it. The whole highway slows down and then you finally get up to what's going on and it's a little crash on the side of the highway, right? But why is everybody paying attention to that? Because our brain naturally drifts to the negative. Why does our brain naturally drift to the negative? Because a couple thousand years ago, when you woke up, you had to walk out of your cave and make sure there wasn't a fucking tiger come get you. Make sure there wasn't a woolly mammoth at the front of your cave ready to get you. Survival is our instinct, but times have changed. Our brains take longer to change. So you have to understand that you've got to rewire your mind. The brain, it's just a computer, right? We have patterns. When you can control the programming and you can pay attention to the patterns, then you can control the outcome. So when you learn to be a master solution provider to every single problem that enters your atmosphere, that's when you'll be unstoppable. Number 8, over accountability is key, right? You know those people that they always have a reason for their failure? Oh, it was too early. Oh, it was too late. Oh, this person did that. Oh, the economy did that. But then when they're successful, oh, it's me. It was all me. Yeah, I'm the reason we won. If you're gonna blame everyone else for your failures, who are you gonna blame when you're successful, right? Over accountability is key. You've got to understand one very simple thing. Every single thing that happens in your atmosphere is your fault. When you tell yourself this, you then dip into an area and a mindset that's going to allow you to actually change something. If you fail and you tell yourself, oh, it wasn't my fault, what are you going to learn, right? How are you going to grow? How are you going to learn what you've got to develop from that situation in order to get a different outcome? When you tell yourself, oh, that was my fault, then you start to self-analyze. What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? And even if it wasn't your fault, you're opening the door to actual improvement and actual growth. When you consistently do this, you are not going to be stopped, right? Success is not just overnight. Success, all it is traveling from failure to failure with grace. So that means that if you can learn from every single failure, then you're going to make it. Number 9, delayed gratification is everything. We live in a society where everything is instant. You want to watch something, boom, it's right there. You want some food, boom, Uber Eats. You want to go do this, bam, it's right there. Everything is right away. And that's why most people, they can't become successful over time because they don't have the ability to delay gratification in order to succeed. What's required to live an extraordinary life is an extraordinary work ethic. Sometimes it's going to take the late nights. Sometimes it's going to take the early mornings. Sometimes you're going to have to clip the weekend out. Sometimes you're going to go to work 40 hours for someone else and you're going to have to go put in work for yourself and for your business in order for you to be successful. It's like I said earlier, there's 2 things that are guaranteed in life. You're going to pay and you're going to play. The only choice that you have is when you do those different things. So when you garner the ability to delay gratification for the long term and to invest into your future and forego the short-term thing right in front of you and forego all that BS cheap dopamine, then what you do is you allow yourself long-term success. If you want something that you've never had before, you're going to have to do something that you've never done before. If you want a result that you don't see anywhere around you with anybody that you know, you're going to have to do something different than everybody that you know is doing. You have to delay gratification. The average overnight success took 10 years to actually get there, but all you saw was boom, they made it, right? You didn't see what happened behind the scenes. What you do behind closed doors comes to to light. Champions are made in the gym. They're not made out there under the bright light. They didn't just show up at the bright light. They practice their craft. They put in the work. When you consistently sharpen your sword behind the scenes, eventually you cannot be stopped. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what your business is. It doesn't matter what your field, what your industry, what your country. None of that matters. What matters is, what do you do behind closed doors? Are you in integrity with what you want? Are you walking in your purpose? Are you in alignment with the goals of your business? If you can adopt these things, you've got to understand that mentality comes first. How we think is how we do. How we do is how we get. The result that we get is what builds our confidence. Supplement that confidence with this mentality, and I promise you, you will be successful.